So, has anyone heard any juicy rock and roll gossip lately? Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the R&B Show. My name is Bruce Cologne, and for today, I wanted to get out a quick solo video because, of course, I could not let this pass without commenting on it. And that is the latest sad, pathetic round of media mudslinging in the Pink Floyd camp. You know, in this day and age of being able to monetize negative, hate-filled media, what better way to bring in the 50th anniversary of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon than by engaging in yet more nastiness between the two most famous members of Pink Floyd, David Gilmour and Roger Waters, going at it yet again in a feud that has spanned nearly 40 years now. So, for those of you who haven't been lucky enough to enjoy the latest invective between the two, it kicked off around 5 days ago with a tweet that was posted by Gilmour's wife and longtime creative collaborator, the author Polly Sampson. And she posted the following on Twitter. Sadly, Roger Waters, you are anti-Semitic to your rotten core. Also a Putin apologist and a lying, thieving, hypocritical, tax-avoiding, lip-syncing, misogynistic, sick with envy, megalomaniac. Enough of your nonsense. Love, Polly. Okay, maybe the love Polly part wasn't part of it, but I can tell you for sure the rest certainly was. In fact, this is one of those incendiary tweets that you kind of halfway expect to disappear into the ether, you know, once the media shitstorm kicks up. But nope, it is still there for all to relish in her timeline. And so that was shortly followed up by hubby Dave, both liking the tweets and posting the following after retweeting it. And I quote, "Every word demonstrably true." And finally, of course, you know, Roger's camp had to try and get the last word in, and they did, at least so far, by issuing the following statement on his social media. Quote, "Roger Waters is aware of the incendiary and wildly inaccurate comments made about him on Twitter by Polly Sampson, which he refutes entirely. He is currently taking advice as to his position." So, in other words, just another day in the ongoing saga of Waters versus Gilmour. You know, I do have to say, though, the fact that these two are still going at it like petulant children is disgraceful at this stage of life and a huge stain on the legacy of Pink Floyd. You know, one of the three greatest ever rock bands, in my personal opinion, with the other two being the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. I'm not even going to touch upon the specific politics, that side of things, you know, which is a big part of this latest round of vitriol going about. You know, those things will always be subject to debate and irreconcilable for the most part. But I do want to say that while some of Sampson's comments are extreme, Roger has, in a way, brought a lot of this upon himself by constantly airing dirty laundry and putting down the Gilmour-led faction of Pink Floyd. You know, in more recent times, he's griped about Gilmour and company, you know, the tight grip that they have over the Pink Floyd social media and not allowing him access to it. This despite the fact that he, you know, left the band in 85 and sued them and, you know, of course, all of that we all know about. He's also, you know, been quite snide in his comments about Polly Sampson's books. And, you know, has also put down the single that David Gilmour and Nick Mason did last year in support of Ukraine, which was issued under the Pink Floyd banner. So really, I guess turnabout's fair play. Polly just gave him, you know, a more harsh dose of his own medicine. Now, as to whether her words are vulnerable to legal implications down the line, that's something that, stay posted on, basically. But that's not all, folks. No, no. So in addition to all this trash, we also learned that Roger recently re-recorded The Dark Side of the Moon without any of the cumbersome involvement of the other members of Pink Floyd. All those sonic touches that none of us cared for, thus making it one of the largest selling albums of all time. For me, words cannot express how foolish, how egomaniacal I think this idea is. With Dark Side of the Moon, this is really one of the few perfect albums in classic rock history. No one has ever complained about the content or the sonics, and really there has never been any covers or any interpretation of this material that has ever matched up to the original. It's one thing if this was being done for artistic reasons, but this move is not driven by artistry at all. It's really about removing Gilmour, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason from his own personal history, if not the history of this album altogether, which is impossible and it's futile, but it is what it is with Roger. I'm pretty sure that ever since the Wall period, Roger has always regretted that Gilmour's singing is like the primary voice throughout most of Dark Side of the Moon. In addition, as if that weren't bad enough, Roger is really trying to take primary credit for Dark Side of the Moon, which is really just plain wrong. Because, as most fans know, a lot of the music on Dark Side of the Moon was co-written. And, when it comes to like Great Gig in the Sky, that is a Richard Wright creation, not a Roger Waters one. We also have the late, great Richard Wright to thank for basically laying down the guidelines for what became the iconic sleeve for Dark Side of the Moon. One of the things that he wanted was to kind of break away from some of the previous Floyd artwork that hadn't quite come off. So he, in his sort of directions and notes, asked for something simple and cleaner, like the design of Black Magic, which, for those of you who don't know what Black Magic is, it's a British brand of boxed chocolates. And the funny thing is, when you actually go and look up like the packaging and the design for those chocolates, specifically in the 70s, you can definitely make the connection between that and this album sleeve, which is the connection that Hypnosis made to get us to here. But again, the germ of that idea was Richard Wright, so thank you for that, Richard. I think for any sensible Floyd fan too, so many, I think, know the fact that the true magic with Pink Floyd lied in the blend of the individual talents. That's clear anytime you listen to any solo Roger Waters album or any of the Pink Floyd albums that were recorded after Roger Waters left. Even though there's great material laced throughout those albums, there's also a lot of missing ingredients as well. And I think for anyone who's also bothered to listen to Roger Waters' demos for The Wall, it's really quite clear what David Gilmour brought to those songs. So, sadly, all that said, despite sort of the loftier themes of absence and loss, lack of communication and empathy, within Pink Floyd's music, it's pretty clear that both David Gilmour and Roger Waters are most likely going to carry their acrimony to the grave, which sadly is really just another reminder for us as fans to always put your faith in the art, not necessarily the artist. But anyway, that's all I have to say on this matter, at least for today. We don't know what's going to, drop within these next couple of weeks. So again, stay tuned. But But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like. Obviously, for the channel, it's very helpful. It kind of gets us in that circulation and the YouTube algorithms, unknowable beast that it is. There is more Pink Floyd content on the channel. In fact, there's a Floyd playlist. So if you want to check that out as well, there's been a lot of good Floyd content in the past. So subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future content. And Ron will be back in the near future to join me for another episode of our Overrated or Not series. This time looking at The Doors, LA Woman. So until then, everyone, please take care, stay safe, and we'll see all of you again very, very soon, okay? Peace.